3, 2, 1. We're live.
We are live. We're alive.
We're live.
And we are on episode 20 today,
20.
which is still again in like no man's land. But the most important birthday or episode is coming up next, 21.
That's crazy.
We should probably drink the next birthday or the next episode.
Yeah, we should.
All right. Cool,
All
yeah.
right. We'll
Can we move this? Can we take it to my house that we don't have to drive?
100%.
Cool.
Yeah.
Drink some vodka, do some shrooms. It'd be great.
Yeah. That would be a gnarly episode.
Are shrooms even illegal? I don't even know.
No,
it's California.
Man.
I don't even fucking know what's legal or illegal anymore. I just ignore all this shit anyway. I don't care. If it's illegal, write me a fucking ticket. I don't give a shit.
Bitch.
Yeah. I totally forget. So many things are illegal in California. I just assume everything I do is illegal. I'm like, oh, well, whatever. Somebody will let me know.
Yeah. Hey, that's illegal in the comments.
I'm just kidding. Don't DM me. I really don't fucking care. I'm do it
Still
anyway.
gonna do it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dude, we should do that. That'd be a fun episode. Just switch it up. It's a beautiful thing about podcasts. You can just take it anywhere.
I love it, dude. So I'm gonna get some weirdos walking by. You're on the patio. Get some weirdos walking by.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
maybe
cool.
hey, come here.
Some hecklers, dude.
Yeah, dude. Live audience. Actually, I've actually had quite DMs. Like, when are you gonna do like a live podcast? I was like,
live one. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, a lot of people are hitting me up live. A lot of
that makes sense.
ideas.
We don't really edit a whole lot out, other than we leave all the stupid shit in.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, cool. So today's episode, we're gonna revisit a video that I did about 2 years ago on our Industry Fabrics YouTube channel that had to do with the 7 key things that an apparel brand needs to scale. And I was just rewatching it, and man, I realized how different I look from 2 years ago, because that's me, my own. I'm of course going to look at myself first, and then also the content. It's like, wow, it's come a long way, man. Yeah. Thank you for your help with that. But yeah, so I want to revisit that, maybe clarify a few things and update a few things. If you guys want to go back to the original video, the name of it is 7 Key Things an Apparel Brand Needs to Scale and Grow.
I'll put a link too at the bottom.
Yeah. And it's about 2 years old. It's still accurate, but there's a lot of things that I think would be useful to update or say again. And also I want Kota's input on what he sees about those aspects from his side of things. Mm-hmm. So diving in, the brand itself. So people, I think, have a misconception about what a brand is. A brand is not designs. A brand is not t-shirts. A brand is not anything like that. A brand is a community and a value system, and how that is viewed by the marketplace and the world and by your tribe and your team. That's what a brand is. A brand is more than a product. A brand is more than a service. A brand becomes something almost tangible that your audience can take in and wear on themselves, and it very clearly represents something, right? So if you have like a Nike swoosh, very clearly represent athleticism or athletes or whatever. But that's because Nike has moved beyond just a swoosh. If you didn't know what Nike was and you just saw a swoosh, like, what is it, a fucking canoe brand? Like selling canoes? For real though. But because it's such a huge iconic brand, they don't even need to put their name on these things a lot of time. You just know what the Nike swoosh is. Mm-hmm. So that's what a brand is. It's more than a name. It's more than a product. It's an actual, almost tangible thing. Mm-hmm. So with that, how do you create that? You create that with, community and messaging. But how do you actually scale a product-based business around that? So here we go. Number 1 is the product. And the product can be anything. And for this particular application, we're talking about apparel. But the key thing is the product matches the market that you're going for. You got to, if you're going for a really high-end market, you got to make sure that your product is really high-end. If you're going for a really value-based market, you got to make sure that you provide the right amount of value that they're looking for. So say a t-shirt, the people who look for a $40 t-shirt and are willing to pay $40 for a t-shirt are very different than people who are looking for a $12 t-shirt. And if you give them the right product that matches, they'll both be happy. But if you swap those products, the person who pays $40 for a kind of shitty t-shirt, is not going to be very happy with their investment. And a person who pays $12 for what would be like a really nice t-shirt, they're probably not going to be happy with that either, because they don't see value in that thing the same way that the person who's looking for $40 t-shirt is. Because the $40 t-shirt is like probably a really thin, like high-end cotton or a tri-blend with soft printing on it. They're usually a little more fragile, but they're easier to, they're more breathable, they're flexible, they fit better than nice shirts. A $12 t-shirt is probably be heavy, 100% cotton as well, kind of cheap, kind of scratchy, real thick, and heavy plastisol printing. They're both exactly what that person wants. So that's the key. You have to provide them the value that they're looking for in the way that they're looking for. So you have to understand and be aware of what your market actually wants. And sometimes it can be very different from what you want.
Yeah. Right.
So
with that product, like people are like listening in that maybe they're into apparel, getting into it more, have a little bit of experience, like product can be expensive, right? You want a higher quality product like you were talking about that people are willing to pay 40, 50, 60 bucks for. But like, how is it getting the manufacturing, and like it's expensive, right? Like how do people finding that balance of a product? Yeah,
manufacturing $40, a t-shirt that retails for $40 is inherently just gonna be way more expensive to manufacture than a t-shirt that retails for $12.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of manufacturing. But even if you're not selling t-shirts, like when we had the kettlebell company, it was the same thing. Like we weren't trying to compete on price. We were probably one of the most expensive kettlebells around, but it's because we provided a lot for that. Nobody's buying a kettlebell that's 50% more expensive than anything else on the market because they're looking for the cheapest kettlebell, because that's not it.
Yeah.
That's not what we provided. And we charged more because we delivered more, and it was a high-end product, and we had high-end customers, and that was what it worked, and it was priced appropriately. But it goes with anything. I mean, you're selling, lawn furniture. There's people that want, a $5 lawn chair, and there's people that will pay $400 for a lawn chair.
Yeah.
You just got to be very clear with who your market is, and sometimes who your market isn't.
Behind the scenes, maybe like since you're in apparel, you get it. Do you know any brand company, just say yes, where it's just like their shit is shit? Like product shit, but they sell a shit ton. Like not sell a shit ton, but the price is like, what the fuck?
Yes. Only for a short time though. That normally doesn't last because, there's a few other parts this we'll get into, but the product has to match the expectation. Yeah. And it's different for everybody. And fulfillment. So number two is fulfillment. And fulfillment means basically two things. Fulfillment is actually getting the product to your customer. So you got to actually store it in a facility, whether that's your spare bedroom, a garage, a 3PL company, external. But you have to actually store the physical product and then ship the product and package the product up to the customer. But the real thing that you should be looking for in that equation is alignment, meaning when that customer gets that product, they should feel like it's exactly what they thought it was going to be. Meaning it shows up and the product itself they're happy with it. It's the right blank. It's the right inks. It fits well. It's exactly what they ordered. But not just that, the packaging. Does it arrive in some crumpled piece of shit bag that you're like, well, what the fuck? You didn't care about this at all? Or is it like a nice professionally packaged box with like, some, not peanuts. Nobody likes getting fucking peanuts in the mail, but those baggy ones that Amazon sends, like high quality, like extra packaging.
And like a note and shit.
Yeah, and a note and stamping, like what does that experience look like for them? And also the time. Does it take them 2 weeks to get it? Or do they get it in a reasonable, 2 to 5 days, something like that? So that's what I mean fulfillment, that fulfillment is the act of the brand keeping the promises to the customer that it makes online. Telling like this, when you sell a product like this t-shirt, this is what it's going to be like, this is going to look like. And when the customer gets that, that's exactly what they experience. That's fulfillment. So that's the goal of having a good fulfillment operation, is all those key things come together to have a congruent experience for the customer.
Got it.
That's ideal. And three, and this is where you come in, a huge part of this, is content creation. And this is really comes down to the main thing, is how do you define the brand visually? Because you have to, the next thing is deploying the content, but it's very difficult to create and craft the messaging of a brand Like, how do you get that out of the owner's or the entrepreneur or the founder's mind? How do you get that onto a piece of paper, right? Or a screen or a 3D thing or a video? Like, how do you take that out of your mind and present it in something that's shareable, on a medium that's shareable? Because a lot of times the founder can articulate it, but it's at least 50% dilution from what's in your mind to what even you can articulate. So having a great content creator who can help pull that out of your mind, you might be able to get like 80% of what's in your mind. And sometimes if they're really good, sometimes you can get 120% because you'll think something, and the content creator or the creative will show you something else and be like, hey, you know what else would look good with this? This. Or what if we showcased it this way? And you can end up with something way better than you even thought by having the right creative partner who can help you articulate the message.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people gloss over that because they think, oh, I need to do advertising and all this shit. And like, well, yeah, kind of you do. But if you advertise shit, nobody's going to buy it. It doesn't matter how much money you put behind it or what the reach is. You have to first go for defining the brand message and crafting that and really putting time and effort and energy into that. And if you can do that well, dude, the advertising can take care of itself.
Yeah. Like for me, like content creation, it doesn't matter if it's apparel or anything like product service. I always like to sit down with the owner, founder, whoever it is. Tell me the story. Like tell me your story. Why did you create this? Well, I love to surf. Okay. Where are we first going to go? We're going to go to the beach. Oh, okay, cool. What are we going to do? We're going to surf. Like, we're going to show what this brand's about. Yeah. Tell the story. People want to know the story behind things compared to just like a logo on a shirt. They want to know what that logo stands for. They want to know what that company represents. And it's like, dude, just showing it on video, in one video, like 30-second video, you could get so much done in storytelling and captivate a lot of people.
Dude, it's amazing, man. One thing I've noticed too with content, it's important to have two types of content. One I think is I made up these terms, so I have to define them. One is direct content and indirect content. And by direct content, I mean, like say you have a surf brand and you got Kelly Slater up there and a picture of him on a wave with your surfboard or your shorts and the perfect logo, perfectly positioned in like a badass pose, right? That's a direct content where you're like, okay, I directly associate Kelly Slater, one of the best surfers of all time, with this product doing this thing that I love. But that's also, it's good in the way that it's very obvious and it's like that hero pose. But also, what's even more powerful is you get indirect content where that person can put themselves into that lifestyle, right? So you have a picture of Kelly Slater at a barbecue wearing your shorts, maybe the surfboard's on a rack behind him, and he's having a beer with his friends and laughing. That's like the indirect content where the consumer or the customer or the audience can look at that and be like, hey, I'm not going to be Kelly Slater on the wave, but man, I might be able to be Kelly Slater at the barbecue. Or maybe I'm not him, but he looks like somebody I could be friends with or I could have a conversation with and share a beer with. Now they're connected to that because you allowed them a way for them to view themselves inside that circle, inside that thing. So that's why I think direct content is huge because you have to have those hero poses or positioning to create the value. But also it's very important to have indirect content so that you allow the audience to feel like they can see themselves in that equation.
Yeah. I think too, I kind of connect like indirect content as like podcasts too.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of podcasts are like uncut, unedited. And sometimes I'll see like a celebrity or artist and I'm like, I just don't like them. Their persona, just their music or whatever. Then I listen to them on a podcast.
Yeah.
And they just talk about their life, kind of like how they grew up, super chill as fuck. And I'm like, I appreciate you as an artist. Like I understand now. And then that's how I got that. Compared to like some people just see like the music, the highlight, the thing that they're doing, and they're like, wow, he's killing it, he's doing so great. I'm like, I don't care. Then I listen to him, who he really is. I'm like, oh, okay.
Dude, that's so funny, man. I thought like Post Malone, he was a rapper. I thought he was black for the longest time. So I'm like, oh, it kind of sounds like similar music. I'm like, cool. Great music. I was listening to it. I'm like, this is rad. And then I saw this scraggly haired dude on a podcast one time, all tatted up. I'm like, but he was saying some real shit. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, damn, I don't know who this guy is, but fuck, he's 100% right. He's totally legit. He's totally authentic. He knows himself. I'm like, who is this motherfucker? It's Post Malone.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Yeah. Dude,
now I like his shit so much better. It's super authentic.
And that's what I was talking. Not Post Malone, but that aspect. Like me and my girlfriend were on our way from Vegas driving. Listened to like 3 podcasts with him because he's so just real, authentic. Every time someone interviews him, they're like, dude, you're legitimately the nicest person in the industry. The way you talk, he's just always, thank you, sir. Like, just so calm and just like, I appreciate you. Like, I'm like, wow, dude. But you get to really see that person in podcasts. But like, I loved how you described the indirect and direct. If you are that athlete, I connect as a surfer. I do that. Like, I respect it. Or you're just the dad that enjoys surfing, doesn't know how, but he's a family man. So is Kelly Slater. He's a family man. I can connect that too.
Yeah. I didn't think about podcasting being weird, but that's totally right. So podcasts would be like the indirect, but the direct would be a photo of Post Malone on stage with the lights and the audience like being the hero image. Yeah. But I think it to provide the maximum context, you need both.
Yeah. 100%.
That makes sense, man. Cool. And number 4 is social media, which is basically a way to just broadcast the content that you create. And people get lost with like, should I do TikTok or YouTube or Instagram or Facebook? Or there's so many different things to do now. It's kind of impossible to do all of them well. There's 2 things. Number 1, do it on the platform that you're most comfortable with that has the most amount of your audience on it. Like go where your audience is. Like most of my audience is probably not on TikTok, so I don't do much on TikTok. I just don't want to learn a new platform because I barely have bandwidth to like post on my Instagram and Facebook. But social media is becoming, it's the new website.
Yeah.
And people are like, I don't need social media. I'm like, dude, that's a bit, you sound like you're saying like a brand in 2000 saying, I don't need a website. You don't need a website, huh?
It's your portfolio.
Yeah, it is.
If you see someone on the street and they say, that's one of the richest people in the world, what do? You Google
Instagram.
them or Instagram?
Instagram
And be like, what's he do? It's like,
well, because you're getting that indirect content, you're getting more of the context for who the person is.
Exactly. That's such a good way to. I never really thought of that shit, like the indirect. Yeah, it's true. But yeah, have your portfolio online with Instagram,
dude. It's a great way for people to reach out too. I've met some like really important people in my life now, just from DMs, man. Just having conversations with people, and it's amazing the high level of people you can really meet just from having conversations. I mean, you can't be a dipshit and DM like, hey bro, I want to pick your brain, and be nobody with
buy you a coffee
with a blank page or some shit, But I think it's a way for people to, the online connections and the communication, all it does is mimic in-person communication.
Yeah.
Like if somebody taps you on the shoulder and you turn around and they're dressed like a fucking idiot in pajamas or whatever. You're like, well, what the fuck is going on with you? Be like, bro, I don't think we have a lot in common. Probably don't want to talk to you. That's your Instagram page. If somebody looks at your Instagram page and you look like a fuck nut, like, bro, I don't have anything to do with it. I'm not returning that DM. Like, go fuck yourself. But if they look interesting and they look like, they're not going to be a psycho and you might have some things in common, like, cool. Yeah. Let's have a conversation. And with that leads, it could be anywhere. It doesn't matter if you're like starting up a new brand or you sell fucking, $50,000 watches or whatever. It's the same type of communication happens on social media as you would in person.
And just a quick tip, if you guys are like struggling right now, not knowing where to start social media, do Instagram and TikTok. And simply make videos. Do photos once in a while, but create content using videos because video shows everything. I always stress video. You can see more, get the tone, the characteristic of who you are, or your character. But if you're struggling with topics, all you have to do is just how-tos, tips and tricks. Bring value to people when they watch you. Right? Value can just be entertaining. You could be funny. That's value, But if you're struggling, find tips and tricks. If you have a client that you're used to having, just pretend the camera's the client and you just ask like, oh, this is what they would ask. I'm just going to talk to you if you were the client. There you go. I have so much information to give now and just talk. And you just start posting that once, like a video every other day. And it's that same video that you use on TikTok, use on Instagram or vice versa.
Dude, I learned so many like life hacks from TikTok. I'm not on it, but Disney will see it on Instagram, and she like DMs me the thing. I'm like, fuck, I didn't know that. That's amazing.
But you know what's crazy? Like a plumber, he'll do a cool hack and it's his business. And I'm like, I don't care about plumbing, but I'm so glad you told me that. Like, I'm not interested in plumbing, but that's what I mean. Your job, whatever you do, is fucking interesting to somebody, you know, because we're not really in it. Show us the outside, show us the behind the scenes. Like that shit's interesting. So yeah, just start creating content.
For sure. And then number 5 is effective advertising. So not just advertising, but actually effective advertising, because there's no quicker way to blow your entire fucking budget than not paying attention and just dumping money into ads that aren't going anywhere or aren't effective. And that's why I think it's so important also to start with great quality content, spend more money on that, because once you put advertising dollars behind that, you're gonna have such better reach. Because all these platforms that are charging for advertising, social, like Facebook and Instagram, their main goal, the only goal they have, is to get people to spend as much time on their platform as possible. So what they'll do, if content is so good that people are organically engaging with it anyway and commenting or liking or sharing, they're going to push that content out and they'll allow it to go. And they're going to put the advertising dollars you put behind that will get pushed a lot further. If you have shit content that people immediately are turned off by or don't want to engage with, they will just up your cost so fucking high that you can't afford to run it. Because ultimately, that platform makes way more money than the advertising by keeping that audience on the page. So they'd rather just crank money up and have you fucking not advertise at all and keep their audience on the platform. So yeah, the key thing is making quality shareable content that's actually usable and valuable to people and interesting, entertaining. And dude, if you do that, your advertising budget is going to be way, way, way further. And especially now, dude, because like, it's not like it was a couple of years ago where you can just crank the fucking dial on advertising. You're like, oh, everything scales. We've got a great ROAS. We're just going to keep feeding money into it. It doesn't work like that anymore. So you have to get serious about your content. Because advertising, if you're not on top of it, could fucking completely make or break a company.
And heads up, people think of like paid ads, like it has to have the best. When Ryan says great content, he's right, but I don't want people to get confused when it comes to it has to be lights, best camera, like shit like that. No. Exactly. I know what you meant. But some people take in that aspect where it's just like, no, dude, you're spending more money doing that.
No, it's
and
a waste.
People are going to see the production that you have on an ad and go over it because they know what to sell. So if you shoot a selfie on your phone, a selfy video, it's going to blend. It's going to blend into organic. It's authentic. And it already blends into like how Vine, TikTok and Instagram and YouTube Shorts, how they already look. So you kind of blend in and that's what people look for. So it's organic. And then you can kind of come in with the tip, you know, and then sell on the back end or whatever. So it's just kind of like, you can film on your phone, film a great ad on your phone.
It was funny, man. That's exactly what Quest and I were talking about earlier is like UGC, like user generated content is king because ultimately the best way to sell somebody is word of mouth. Not from the brand, but from a fellow consumer. Like recommendation is the highest form of conversion. So if you can have user-generated content, and what does that look like? Most user-generated content doesn't have lights and cameras and all this fancy shit. Like they don't. It's you with the cell phone and just doing it organically. And also, people are so used to being advertised to that as soon as they think it's an advertisement, they'll literally just block it out, scroll away. Even if they see it, they don't absorb it because I'm being marketed to and they just blank out. So you actually get a way better conversion if you purposely lower your production value to something that's more in tune with that looks more authentic.
100%. It's such a game.
Dude, it is.
And that's what I tell people, like we talk about last podcast before we go to the next one. Be the student of the game. If you want to run ads, go on TikTok, go on Instagram, see these sponsored, and you're going to be like, oh, this one stands out completely. This is like higher production. Go to the next one and wait until something captures your attention and be like, oh shit, why did this capture my attention? You know what I mean? So you can understand like that's how you could be running your ads. Yeah,
there's a lot. You can, if you learn to read between the lines, you can learn so much just from not even listening to what other people are saying, watching what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that and you learn to speak the language and kind of peek behind the blinds a bit, man, that's where the juice is, because you're never going to learn that in like some marketing class or whatever, like, because it changes so fast.
Mm-hmm.
The only people who are truly on the cutting edge of it are the people who are doing it at scale now.
Exactly. Quick tip too. If you guys are not curious or you are curious but don't know where to find ads, Facebook ads library. If you go on that website, Facebook ads library, Google it, it's the first thing that will pop up. There's a search bar and you can search any brand and it will tell you if they're running ads and it will show you exactly what ads they're running. So if you're like, oh, I want to see what Nike's doing, okay, go. And then we'll show you all the ads Nike's running and you can go see the videos like, how are they doing it? Are they doing organically? They have a shit ton of money. So it's a little different, but you could still see the idea of like what we're talking about, organic posts.
Look up your competitors too.
Yeah.
And see what they're doing and see what's working and what's not working, because they probably don't know any better than you. Sometimes they do, but they usually don't. So see what they're doing and improve on it. Use it as a test case. Like, hey, they tried this and this worked really well. Let's incorporate this. Or they tried this and it didn't work really well. Awesome. We don't need to try that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a trip.
It's way cheaper to learn from other people's mistakes.
Oh, yeah, so fast. That's a good one.
All right, cool. So number 6 out of 7 is when I originally made the video, I labeled it email campaigning. But that has also changed in the last 2 years, because now to really have, you need a whole ecosystem. So email is just one avenue of that. SMS or text messaging is becoming a huge, huge part of that. And really what has to happen now to be effective with your advertising budget, you need to get a new customer in the door, and you're probably going to be roughly break even, but you have to focus on the lifetime value and the average order value of that customer. So how do you get them to buy more stuff? Number one, you create more products that they really like and enjoy, and you price it at a point where they're like, hey, this is a good value to me, I'm going to buy it. And then how often do they order? And how often they order is generally a function of how much they see you. You know, are you sending one email every 3 months? Well, you know, you can do that. I'm like, oh, I don't want to bug my customers. They're your customers for a reason. They're your customers because they like what you're doing. Give them more of what you like. I mean, don't email them 5 times a day. That's going to be obnoxious, you know. But find an appropriate balance and figure out who your customers are and your avatar, and what kind of conversations do they want to have, and what do they want from you as a brand, and how can you deliver that to them? And an email campaign is a great way to do that, where I don't mean sell all the time, where you're like, this is on sale, that's on sale, here's a new product, buy it. That's not a way to have an effective communication with somebody. It's not a good conversation that anybody wants to have. Every time they talk to you and they're trying to sell you on something, they're just going to ignore you and get off the list and probably not like the brand anymore. But if you send them out, like say you send out 3 emails a week, and the first 2 are like, hey, here's something that I found that I think you'd really like. It's not even your product. Just like, hey, here's something I learned. The next thing, hey, here's something I found out that I think is very valuable to me, and I think this will help you too. Cool. Third one, like, oh, by the way, we came out with this new product that's tied in with these. Here's what we learned, and if you want to buy it, here it is. Now that's the sales one, but not everyone can be a sales. So maybe like 20 to 35% would be an actual sales. The rest is just value push.
Yeah,
because that's a good conversation.
Yeah.
But it's funny how all these things, they all come back to just what would you do in real life? You know, what kind of conversation would you have in real life? And then just do that, you know, do that on the platform. But email campaigns are good. They're not as effective as they used to be in some ways, but that's where SMS comes in and fills in the gaps, because SMS is highly effective now. But also it's a whole different ballgame.
What do you use for SMS?
Via is pretty good. We don't do it.
Oh, okay.
This is all just secondhand information, because a lot of our clients do it, and we talk with a lot of these guys, but we're not a B2C brand, so we don't personally do any of this stuff. Yeah. But I've heard really good things about Via. The owner's pretty cool. And honestly, the best thing to do, get on your competitors. 2 things. Number 1, get on your competitors' SMS list and email list and see what they're doing. And 2, maybe even more important, get on the big brands that you want to be like the icons in your space. Get on their email list and their SMS list. See what they're doing. See how they're positioning the brand, how often they're sending them out, what kinds of things that they're talking about, what kind of offers they're making. and then take what you can from that and apply it to your own brand.
I just had to write that down. That's a really good one. Like, get on your competitors' email list.
It's huge, man.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I don't have a huge email list, you know? And that's something that me and my partner were working on, where it's like, okay, because email list is huge. To always have that backup. Depends on what you're doing.
Well, it depends on what you're selling.
Yeah.
You're selling more of like a one-on-one service, which is not that. The email list won't be that useful until you have a sales team that's able to fulfill and execute on whatever they're buying, right? So if it's one-on-one services, until you train a staff that's able to fulfill those one-on-one services, don't even worry about the email list. Or you could create an information product that those people you might not be able to reach one-on-one, but you can have an information product that they can learn and teach themselves.
See, and that's what we're working on too right now is creating an opt-in page where it's pretty much it's like a free PDF of top 250 topics to talk about for short forms.
Yeah.
Right? And just opt in, collect their emails and shit like that. So it's just like, and then we can touch up on them to like resell. But that's just an interesting thing that you brought up.
Dude, Alex Hormozy does a phenomenal job with that. I just listened to a podcast yesterday with him and his wife were on the Brad Lee podcast.
Oh, wow.
Like, dude, I just sent Quest the link earlier. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, dude.
I sent it to Disney. I'm like, bro, you gotta call my wife, bro. I'm like, bro, listen here. You gotta watch this podcast on your way home today. And dude, they talk about exactly that. They had a business that was in-person, service-based, and it worked really well, but they eventually got to the point where like, we can only service a certain amount of gyms at a time.
8.
Yeah, because that's exactly it. We can only service 8 gyms at a time because we're maxed out on our staff. Once they went to an information product, it fucking tripled in like a couple months.
Dude. Shout out to Alex, $100 million offers. Great book.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Bible.
So yeah, email campaigns, which really now modern is just, you need a whole ecosystem to involve people in a variety of ways.
To me, I feel like so many emails to me, it's just so spam.
Yeah. Well, most of them feel like spam because most people are just trying to sell you shit. That's why you're like, fuck you, get off.
I feel like even when I do open them, if it's just like, oh, I don't know, like you got a free room at the Mandalay Bay. It's just like my
never go because you know there's strings attached. You're like,
but
it's
free, from Mandalay Bay. It's through like my service account, my players rewards, or whatever.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, I sometimes like I don't know if that's
because you know there's like block out dates and there's strings attached.
Yeah,
you know, I'd rather just make more money and buy it when I fucking want to buy it, and not worry about having to get through the buying process and this is the blackout date. You got to pay blah blah blah.
Yeah,
like fuck off. I don't want to deal with it.
It makes me think like, are emails ever gonna go like away? Kind of like
I don't know, man. But communication will not.
Never.
Communication will never go away because humans are humans and. It'll be more automated, more connected in a variety of ways, and you don't know what the next platform is.
I think you said like text, SMS. Like when you get text, you're more like kind of like, oh, what is it? Who is it? Oh, and you can see.
Yeah, it's a different conversation you have on email versus text too. Email is more like it's a dialogue. Text is like very short snippet, like Twitter, just short burst, get the point across, and it's different.
Yeah.
But yeah, learning to speak the different languages of the different platforms, I think is very important too. And then awareness of your audience.
Subject lines. When people get the reply dot, I'm like, oh, what? That gets me every time.
Dude, Bedros is good at that shit
too.
Dude. I get his emails like, hey bro, you fucked up. Like, wait, what? What are you talking about? I open it. Oh, got it. Nice, bro. You got me.
See, yeah, subject lines.
Smart marketing though, man.
Yeah,
smart marketing. And then the last and final thing on this, I mean, there's a million things that actually go into this, but these are like the top 7 that I originally put in that YouTube video. So I wanted to address these top 7 and kind of how some things have evolved. 7 is customer service. And really what you want to do is it comes back to that same thing about fulfillment. You want the customer's experience to be congruent all the way from when they first see the brand online to their ordering experience online to getting the product in their hand to if they ever have to reach back out to that brand. You don't want to turn them off by having them have a different experience. Like we handle customer service for all our clients that are fulfillment. And we have some clients that are very like dude bro-ish and some clients that are very like sir ma'am. So we train our customer service staff to reply to the customer in the language that the brand speaks. So if if a customer writes in, hey bro, I got these shorts and I need to return them, whatever, our person will be like, yeah, man, we got you, no problem. Here's the process, go do it. Or if we have another brand customer comes in like, excuse me, I have this issue with this. We'll be like, yes, sir, no problem. We've got you. Here's the process to do it. Because from the customer's experience, you don't want to slap them in the face with like something different they're expecting. Your brand has an identity online, has an identity in person, has an identity of the product that they feel like they're wearing. You don't want to ruin that by when they reach out, they're like, wait, what the fuck? You're a sir man person and this dude called me bro? Fuck you, I'm never wearing this shirt again. Or the opposite, like you call him bro and like, yes, sir, like now you feel stuffy and disconnected from the brand. So I think customer service is a huge opportunity to pull people more into your ecosystem as a brand. And also too, when people reach out, normally, I mean, you'll get those emails, people like, dude, I just want to email and tell you you're doing a fucking fantastic job. We're like, cool, we'll forward it to the owner and be like, fuck yeah, we're winning, right? But 90% of them are like, something's fucked up. Something's jacked up. We got this problem, this problem, this problem. People normally only email when they have problems. But if you look at it as an opportunity, like imagine customer service issue. Somebody comes in and they're like, dude, I bought this shirt and it fucking, I wore it and then it turns out it has a little hole in it. And like, fuck, what do I do? And the shirt might be, cost the brand anywhere from $7 to $10, depending on the volume they're getting it at. And then a couple bucks for shipping. And the customer paid, say, $30, $35 for it. So, and the overall value from that customer, if this is their first experience with that brand, if you go in and be like, oh, dude, yeah, no problem. We'll send you out another one. What does it cost the brand? $7, $8 plus shipping. It costs them $10 to $12 all in to have this customer have a fantastic experience. They're not going to go rave about. And we used to do this all the time when they'd order like a medium or something. And this is before we switched over to SKU system. So we'd have like 1 or 2% of those human error rate. So they'd order a medium and they'd get a large. We're like, fuck, totally our fault. So what we would do is be like, hey, you know what? No problem. You don't even have to send it back. Keep the medium. We're going to send you out a large. Give the medium to, or whatever the wrong one is. Give the wrong size to somebody who you think would appreciate the brand. Mm-hmm. Somebody who you think would really like it. And we're going to send you out a new one for free right away. And they're like, oh, fuck, I didn't have to return it. You recognize it was your fault. You fixed it. And it cost the brand less than $10. But now you have a customer for life.
Yeah.
And this person can go online and be like, bro, it's two things. They're going to go online and every time they talk about this brand now, like that's a fucking key experience. And the person they give that shirt to is going to appreciate it. So now you're making that person look like you're giving them a gift to give to somebody else. Mm-hmm. You're giving them an opportunity to look cool and be friendly and, have a conversation with somebody else about your brand.
That's so cool.
For less than $10. I'm like, why would you not do that? And some brands are like, no, you got to email it back to me and we'll wait and I'll give you a fresh one once you send out and you got to pay shipping. I'm like, bro, you're losing fucking dollars over pennies, dude. Like just help them out, make them have a great experience with your company and you're going to fucking win long term. Don't worry about the $6 now or the $10 now. This person, they're going to buy $300 worth of your shit over the next year. Give them $6.
Yeah. It's like one of those things remind me like you pay to like play again, like a reset. Like, okay, like I have to pay a little bit more to keep them cool, like extra life, whatever. Yeah. But it's like, dude, that's not, you want to, follow up with the experience. I think being a business owner now and starting my own thing, like the last 2 years, I'm so picky with customer service when it comes everywhere.
Oh, people overlook it. It's huge.
Oh my gosh. The way people greet you, I'm like, bro, like, hello, how you doing? I usually have to say, hello, how are you doing to some people? And I'm like, it's the experience. So it's sometimes like when you bring that up, I think that's a thing that some people forget and training on and all that kind of shit. But it's so fucking important.
Yeah, there was one brand that pretty well-known military brand. I liked it. I bought some stuff and the owner was connected with some of my friends. I didn't know him personally, but it was, they knew him. And I bought some stuff. It was really cool. But then it wasn't very clear on the site, like what the fuck was going on. And I bought one thing and I got another thing. And I just emailed like, hey man, like I know it's in the works. I just want to let you know I got this thing and I ordered this thing. Like, do you want me to send it back or what? He's like, oh, bro, you didn't read? They come together. I'm like, well, actually, I did read it and it didn't say anything about them coming together at all. Like he's like, oh, well, should have read it. I'm like, oh, my bad, dude. So fuck them. I'm never buying anything from them again because the customer experience wasn't congruent with what I saw online.
And
you
should have.
Yeah,
as the customer, like what the?
But so I went back on the website. I'm like, oh man, my bad. Maybe I'm wrong. Did I totally miss this? And it wasn't labeled at all on the fucking website. I'm like, oh no, you're just being a dumbass. It's like, oh, but there are what was that restaurant chain with like their whole thing was they were assholes.
Oh, Dick's Last
Yeah,
Resort.
Dick's Last Resort.
Bro, I love that shit. Oh my God. We went to Vegas 2 years ago with that and I love it. Oh, I love that.
Some people do, man. Some people do.
It's such a it's such a great experience because you really get to, I guess, appreciate, but they're so funny. They're assholes.
Some brands are like that too. And if you're an asshole online, that's kind of your shtick and your thing. I'm like, dude, if you email customer service, like, yes, sir, we can take care of that. Like, whoa, what are we doing here?
Mm-hmm.
You have to be on brand. You have to be congruent with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, like every piece of the puzzle has to fulfill the promises that your brand makes online. That's what it comes down to. From the customer service to fulfillment to the advertising to the product to the packaging, like it all has to come together to make sense to that customer. Like I paid what I felt was a good value for this, and what I got was more than that. They're going to buy again. They're going to tell people about it, and they're going to become a customer for life. And that's how you build a loyal following in a brand, by making it more than just the product. It's about all the other things that surround it.
That's a trip. See, like this was about more of apparel brand, but for me, any entrepreneur, any business owner can take so much shit out of just that. Everyone.
Well, most businesses are the same. Almost all product-based businesses are pretty much identical.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that we talked about today, if you just replace whatever your product or gizmo is with, replace apparel with that, it's 99% the same across the board. Everything still has to work.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to summarize the 7 real quick?
Oh, yeah. So 7 key things that apparel brand or pretty much any brand needs to scale. Well, I think 0 is you gotta have an awareness of what the brand is and what you're building and who you want to be associated with that. And be very clear with that. Once that's set, number 1 is a product has to match the market. Number 2 is fulfillment. Your brand has to keep the promises that it makes to its customers, all the way from the buying process to the packaging to the product itself, all the way down to if they ever reach out for customer service. 3 is content creation. That's basically how you define the brand visually, which is difficult to do. Number 4 is social media or website, or however you're broadcasting your content on whatever channels. How do you do that effectively? 5 is effective advertising, which is essentially doing number 4, but you're pushing ads to get more reach. That's all advertising does, really. It's just you're just pushing reach. It doesn't really change anything. It's just higher level of broadcasting. 6 is email campaigns, which is really just communicating with your customer base more, having the conversations with them that they want to have with you, and keeping top of mind. So then we're like, oh, I want another shirt and I want another widget. Who's the top of mind brand to go to for this? Oh, it's this brand. There you go. And that comes with having quality conversations with them on whatever platform, that fits. And then 7 is customer service. Every time a customer reaches out, they should have the same type of experience that they have on social media, from the product to the packaging to the conversations they have with the brand owner and even the brand owner's employees online. It should all be congruent.
Oh yeah. Dude, there's a solid 7. I know when I found that on YouTube, I was like, this is something you definitely need to cover again because it's super powerful on the podcast.
Some of this changed too, In 2 years, it'll probably look totally different.
Yeah. Yeah. But just a key, like an outline for people. Just a quick 7.
Yeah.
There's way more he said, but it's a good one to start with.
Oh, yeah. Each one of those things is, at least 20 minutes deep. But there's already so many people that talk about that, like content creation, that are way better than content. Like, you way better than content creation than me. Like, you should do a 20-minute video just on that.
Yeah, definitely.
All these things are super deep.
Yeah. Well, if you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share it. Entrepreneurs, you know what to do.
All right, man.
Hell yeah. Shake and bake.